Let's begin.
Man, tough watch. Sound of Freedom is a 2023 film that's been released after 5 years of being on a shelf from bigger companies such as 20th Century Fox, which was later bought by Disney. After buying back the rights of the film, Sound of Freedom is out for the public to watch. And I gotta say, this one is not for the faint of heart. If you're not familiar with the plot, we follow the true story of a man named Tim Ballard, a Homeland Security agent turned vigilante that saved a large amount of children from sex trafficking rings. Jim Caviezel portrays Tim Ballard as a man that's both tortured and determined to rescue these innocent children. After saving a young boy named Miguel and bringing him safe back to his father, Tim's main objective is to save Miguel's sister Rocio, who's also a trafficking victim in Colombia. Tim is helped by a former cartel accountant by the name of Vampiro, who switched over to helping the good fight. We follow Tim as he infiltrates various trafficking operations on the way of finding the little girl Rocio. Right off the bat, I thought this movie was fantastic. Jim Caviezel puts in a stellar performance as our lead, Tim Ballard. One thing I noticed through the film was how Jim was able to act through his eyes during key dramatic moments. We can see the hurt, the frustration, and the anger in Tim's eyes, and I thought Caviezel was able to capture this all in a magnificent way. Bill Camp as Vampiro might be my favorite character and performance in the film. He's brought in for a small bit of comic relief, but I found the origin story that Vampiro tells Tim to be unsettling and dark, albeit realistic. Despite how disturbing the story is, Vampiro is very remorseful, which leads him to joining the good fight. Fantastic character that I heavily enjoyed. I do commend the child actors in this film for being able to go through such a horrific subject matter. It takes a lot of courage to act out some of these scenes that these kids were put through, and they all did a wonderful job handling the material. I thought the camera work was great, and we even have a handful of dazzling visuals in the cinematography department. I did notice that IMDb has this film under the action genre, and I wouldn't necessarily call this one action. There is a particularly bigger scene near the end of the movie, if you will, when Tim is saving Rocio from the Amazon forest. But the rest of the film I felt was more rooted in the drama/thriller genre. That doesn't bother me whatsoever. Just a heads up for the people that are expecting a non-stop action film. But overall, Sound of Freedom is a wonderful heavy drama that's shining light on a very horrific subject matter that should be talked about 100% more. I highly recommend you to check this film out, and I would even have Sound of Freedom as my personal favorite film of 2023 so far. I think it's an absolute necessary watch, and I'm happy that a movie like this is having great word of mouth being spread around it. Like I've said, the subject matter is very hard to sit through, and there are a handful of moments in the film that will infuriate you or even make you tear up. I cried once or twice. I'm not ashamed to say it with this type of film. Great acting, solid writing, great to look at cinematography, and the movie handles the trafficking manner in a very caring way, I felt. On my first watch, I'm gonna give Sound of Freedom a 10 out of 10. Sex trafficking is a very common evil that continues to happen to this day. Fro says, protect the kids. Thank you for watching, and I appreciate you. Check out Sound of Freedom.
How'd that make you feel? Giving a child his freedom.
Felt good.
You have been at this for 12 years.
My country 'tis of thee.
Hear that? That's the sound of freedom.